to your new podcast Optimum Ideation with the Host and Bridges. Idea interviews. The best of human ideation. Everyone has a superpower. But times are hard, many are in the darkness of their own mind, in need of a helping hand. Helping others to become whole.
Our sponsoring brands.
Third-party people, NFT Fashion, TGC Fashion, Mark Point.
Enjoy the show.
Well, welcome everybody to Optimum Ideation podcast. Today's guest is Dr. Phil Hickman, and he comes to us from an educational background. And today's topic is going to be pretty much focused on tech, AI, and what kind of things we can do to help the nation, the world's education going forward. So glad to have you, Dr. Phil.
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to be on your show.
Hey, whenever I get great quality people reaching out, I always try and give you a moment and see if we can't generate some great discussion. So, our first question today, it kind of digs into your story. What's your story, your resume? How did you get to here?
Well, I have 5 graduate degrees and a doctorate, and I did everything in the field of education. And I'm finishing up my MBA too, so that would be 7. But kind of did everything in the field of education. So from a teacher, a school psychologist, a principal, assistant superintendent, and then some rural districts, some large districts in the United States, and then also was a national ambassador for the United States Department of Education. One of the things that I figured out was that there was a big gap, there was a big hole in our education system, and especially looking at it from a national standpoint. One of the things that bothered me the most was reading, and the way that we assess reading. The most way that we assess reading is we quietly have children read a paragraph and answer multiple choice questions. And as you know, that's only looking at reading comprehension. That has nothing to do with basic reading. And most people struggle with trying to decode passage using so much brain energy that they don't have enough energy to actually comprehend. But they know how to comprehend. You talk to people, talk to these kids, and they know how to understand, and they can understand any rap song or anything like that. So
Sure.
I spent a while trying to figure out how to develop technology to mitigate that. And so I did a stint with Apple, Amazon, then worked for Oracle to kind of build up my technology muscle, learn how to code, started a few coding nonprofits, and then developed Playbook, which is an innovative reading technology that uses artificial intelligence, natural language processing, and speech recognition to help children learn how to read. So we actually can hear the child read. We use, AI and natural language processing. We can hear all the way down to the phonemic level, the unit of speech, which is different from everyone else. And so, for instance, if a child read the word bat, we hear b-at, or the lack thereof, and we can analyze a child's whole reading pattern and responses based off them simply reading or attempting to read.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm big into tech, and, I've been homeschooling our 3 children along with my wife. And so when we do a lot of design work and recruitment, and a lot of it's online, so we are like in tune with all the latest applications and the latest tools. And so we actually let our children kind of play with them, and they'll create custom things, and they have a desire to create video games. So they're trying to learn scripting and things like this as well. And so, I love this discussion. I think it needs to be had. And the fact that it's not talked about, it's the most important thing that we have is our children's education. They are the future.
Yeah.
And so what are we doing? Are we doing ourselves a disservice?
Yeah, I think we are.
By
The one thing that people say is, children are, I don't know, 25, 27% of the present, but they're 100% of the future.
yeah,
And so the problem is it goes beyond just simply reading, because it's a actually, to me, it's a kind of a national security. Our children would no longer compete against jobs, against their neighbors, or against their, someone in the next town over. It's a global society, and they will increasingly compete against robotics and automation, white collar automation, and then they will also compete against um, a global society.
yeah, yeah. I'm watching this firsthand as we recruit in the energy and IT fields mostly, and you're seeing a lot in IT with people being laid off and let go from these large corporations where they should be our growth markers, and they're just letting people go. So we see it with the robotics coming out and cleaning bathrooms and flipping burgers, and
Yeah,
and before you
and that,
know it,
that one that flips
yeah,
burgers is only $30,000.
yeah, I know,
So and so you can actually, for 1 year of someone's salary, you can
yeah,
buy this robot, and it never sleeps.
yeah,
It never asks for time off, and
yeah,
and so it's kind of, to tell people to try to imagine, even in the education system, and say, look, we're educating kids for our past and not their future. Like,
yeah,
we are not properly preparing kids for the digital ecosystem that they will live in. Walmart. I don't know where you're at, but our Walmart has a robot that goes and scans the shelves, and then after it scans the shelves, it's given inventory, as well as cleaning the floors, and it will stop and let you walk by, and all those things.
yeah. Yeah, New York, I think a week or two ago, rolled out their police, force robot or what have you.
Right.
But we've all seen the RoboCop, the Terminator, all this, and is this all pre-programming for what the future is going to be? And
Well, I mean, it's just going to get smarter, right? I
yeah,
mean, they're laying it out now, and it's going to have mistakes. It's just going to get smarter and fast. Look at ChatGPT. Like,
yeah,
this is the first time that technology has changed beyond the existence of the mobile.
yeah,
ChatGPT came out like in January. By February, they already had 3 and
yeah,
version 4 and all those kind of things. Like, never in history has technology rolled over and advanced that fast.
yeah. And I saw there was a trademark on ChatGPT 5 already. So,
Yeah.
you saw Zuckerberg.
We're not even a year into their release.
Yes, you see, Zuckerberg. In 2021, he came out with his metaverse where the characters are all look like Nintendo Me or Wii characters, and now you see what he just rolled out this last week with Lex Freeman, and the whole mapping of your geospatial of your face and everything. So, what could we do with this in education? Yeah. So how can this AI and tech be leveraged to create more personalized, adaptive learning experience for students in the future of education?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point to me of AI, and the technology you have is personalized learning. Like, everybody learns differently. I always say it. I said it on another podcast. I said, who determined that a class, you have to have a 45-minute block of reading every day? What if I need 47 minutes? And I'm almost having that aha moment, and you shut the book and move on. Or what if I need 10 minutes? I have to sit for the rest of the time and be bored by everyone else trying to catch on. And so personalized learning using AI, and the same thing with our tool Playbook. We call it a GPS. And so if a student's on a learning journey and they're going down the road, they're supposed to make a right, but they make a left. We normally don't catch them until they're miles down the wrong road.
Yeah.
The problem is, not only do we got to catch them back up to the middle, but then we also got to catch them up to the kids that made it down miles down the right road. The reason why that becomes impossible is not that you can't do that with one student, is that you cannot do that with a bunch of students that went off at all different areas, and we don't catch them. And so that's what our technology does. It immediately tells them turn right, and it gives them an alternative path to their learning journey. It personalizes their learning.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I had interviewed another gentleman whose focus was on ADHD and keeping people on task, and for kids, but also adults even. And so it's a system that keeps them locked in, I guess you will. So I don't know. You may network with him. He's at Focus Bear. So y'all may have some work together, networking there.
That'd be
similarities.
Cool. Oh
yeah. Jeremy Nagel. So let me see. What are some ethical considerations to take while implementing this tech in education?
Yeah, I think we try to move too fast and have the technology replace humans. And I don't think that that's the maximum use of it right now. When I was a superintendent, I said, technology will not replace people, but those who use it will replace those who don't. Yeah. And so, yeah, use it as a tool. Even ChatGPT is a tool to make your precision better. When you look at, like I said, white collar automation or white collar robotics, doctors, they have robots that perform surgery, but the doctors are still there to guide it. And so it's just another tool. And that's how we have to use it right now, is a tool. I don't think, and eventually, obviously, the great Elon Musk, he's on to something, right? But right now, I don't want to fathom being a cyborg. But what he's trying to do with Neuralink is saying, hey, we need a chip in our mind, not that we become a robot, but that chip help us process faster to keep up with technology.
To me, we are the supercomputers. All these machines, they're machine learning, they're very efficient, but we are the supercomputer. So what do we need to do is load our children full of, the things that excite them, the data that excites them, the programs that excite them. And, that's kind of why we focus on homeschooling was, what do our children really want to learn? Because I feel like my whole time in school, and I've got a college degree as well, I feel like it was a waste of time. And I could have done so much more of what I'm doing now could have been done by now already.
We're wasting time of a lot of children though.
Yeah.
So without personalized learning, we're really, wasting the time of children within the classroom. Yeah. The pendulum has swung a little bit different. Yeah. For instance, in reading, 75% of children in the United States read below grade level. 75%. That's, we only have a 25% success rate, and 100% of kids are in schools, and it doesn't matter the social economical status, race, or anything. Yeah. It's saying 75% of children in the fourth grade read below grade level, and that leads to a catastrophic of events, right? Like, 73% of crime in the United States is created by high school dropouts. 82% of prison inmates have a reading impairment that's never been corrected. And so there's things that simply we can change by personalized learning, by being more efficient, by using data to drive decision. Really ethical considerations is to not use it. What are we doing right now? We're boring kids to death. Our gifted children are our largest population that's dropping out of school right now.
Yeah,
I mean, we have nothing to offer them. They're learning outside of school. Right. They can pick up that little black box or a computer, and they can learn. They want other things to be enhanced, and we're still, teaching the basics. And so, it's. I think the ethical consideration goes both ways.
Yeah,
to use it or not to use it.
Yeah, I love it. I agree with you. Yeah, YouTube University is a powerful thing these days.
Yeah.
In what ways can educators and administrators promote emotional intelligence and social emotional development among students? Yeah, why is it crucial for their?
That is a very, very critical thing. And one, let's go with social emotional development. In a lot of our urban schools, our children are experiencing such a high outside of school. They're having such a high extreme let's say, stress environment, that these youngsters come to school and they explode over any little thing.
Yeah.
And so they're not uh, they're they I mean, seriously, a kid drops a pencil, you ask them to pick it up, and they start cussing and fussing them. And I've seen this, and it looks, and they're stressed, and
Yeah.
they're expressing it in the wrong way, and they need support. Sometimes, in some of our urban schools, like that is the crux of what needs to happen first before you can even start teaching and learning. Is that you need to teach kids how to regulate their emotions and deal with their behaviors, and and how to communicate. But then when you start looking at emotional intelligence, to me, that's when you start looking at interpersonal relationships and how to navigate and deal with diverse people. See, right now, our school systems are actually more segregated now than they were before. And that's not necessarily good, right? So you have a school of all socioeconomical, low socioeconomical status students. They're all black, they're all white. But again, the world is global. And
Yeah.
in their future, they're going to have to learn how to get along with the different personalities and different people. They're going to have to learn how to respect and honor different indifferences. And that's something that's not being promoted and not being direct taught. As a school psychologist and a child psychologist, one of the things that I work with school systems is you have to direct teach behavior. So you can't say, well, you should know better, or you just kick the student out, because it's the same thing as math. If a student is struggling in math, we direct teach them, we tutor them. If a student is struggling in behavior, we kick them out. Like, that doesn't make sense. So we have to direct teach inconsistent behavior that's incompatible with the behavior that they're exhibiting. But it's hard. We're asking teachers to do a lot at the same time, right? And so, yeah. The reason one of the solutions that I would say is we really need to look at how are schools partnering with the community and with the business community.
Yeah.
Why, if you are an institution that teaches education, why are you also the counselors are ex-teachers? Or why are the nurses? We can be contracting with a hospital and have a clinic inside the school. The school's a public facility. We can have counselors and therapists within the school system, or even sports. Like, why are schools, why the new teacher on the block that is picking up being a coach, when we have great AAU teams and all those kind of things, and then schools can just focus on teaching and learning.
Yeah, you've got some great points there. I mean, there's so many things that we could do that would be a huge change. But those are great ideas. Can you share specific strategies, programs that have effectively nurtured social, emotional development in students within your educational experience?
Yeah, there's one program that centers around teaching of 4 R's. 4 R's are what they say, 2 of them are directly tied to successful adults. So one is that the theory of these 4 R's is saying we want to teach character, we want to teach all these kind of things, but let's limit the vocabulary. So we can't, in one class, the teacher's is saying, are you showing integrity? In another class, the teacher is using these, all these words, and it's inconsistent. When it says, the framework is saying, stick with the 4 R's. And so, you teach responsibility, whether you're responsible for your behavior, whether someone is watching or not, or all these other kind of things that deal with responsibility. Respect. So, how do you respect yourself? How do you respect adults? How do you respect others? How do you respect using your words? But the last two are tied to a successful adult. So, responsiveness. How do you respond? Like how do you respond? Like, our urban kids are responding in aggressive, angry ways, and it just doesn't equal the same. Someone steps on his shoe, they want to kill a person, and so you have to teach them appropriate responses. The last one is resourcefulness. How do you use your resources? Like, I can see a teacher give a great instruction and release the students to do their work, and you never fails. You have a student that's just sitting there. They're not angry, they're not mad, they're just sitting there. And I walk up to them and I say, "Hey, what's going on?" She says, "I don't have a pencil." Well, how do you use your resources? Well, I can ask. Exactly, you can ask. The same thing that happens in a community. a lot of people are not resourceful, and they kind of waddle in their mess as opposed to using resources to help advance them. And so that, to me, that's capturing kids' heart is another one. It actually teaches the adults how to effectively respond and react, restore any restorative justice practices, because that's what has to happen. As a restorative justice, instead of the hammering, every student is suspended, The problem is, if punitive things work, then our penal system, prison has a 85% recidivism rate. Like once they go in, they're 85% chance that they're going to repeat. You would think that's the most horrible place for someone to go, but so in other words, punishment is not the key. You have to direct teach replacement behavior, and then the other one, of course, is positive behavior support, PBIS. And so that's the same thing as like direct teach. It's shaping shaping the positive behavior, and then also using restorative justice practices to mitigate the majors and minors and all those kind of discipline issues that you have.
Very good. Very good. How can teachers and schools effectively balance academic achievement with the development of social, emotional skills in the classroom?
Yeah, and that's hard. Again, we're asking our teachers to do a lot, but our health classes sometimes become obsolete, and so that's a good class period to direct teach it. There's other technology programs out there that uses videos and those kind of things that are directly in the classroom. I can't think of Wonder Kids or Wonder Grove is an excellent one. This guy, he's the one that did the Rugrats, and so he did the Rugrats, and he did the first like 35 episodes of The Simpsons. They wanted him to do SpongeBob, and he was like, you know what, I'm done with this. And so he wanted to really help kids, is what he says. And so he developed a social emotional kind of program, cartoon where kids see themselves in animation, mixed animation, and those kind of things. That's a way to do it. It just depends on the district you're in. So even some of our higher social economical districts, you still need to direct teach social emotional behavior, because so people won't come out callous and not be empathetic and not understand empathy and those kind of things, because we need everyone to kind of gel our society or our community together, right? Because we're steadily going to have the have and have nots. We're eliminating that middle class. And so, but let me tell you, in our lower socioeconomical environments, and I mean on average, so it's not every school, but it's tough. These our kids come out and they're angry, they're ready to fight, and they need love, and they need support, and they need patience, and they need kindness, and those kind of things. And so it's tough in that environment to ask a teacher to be constantly abused, to be constantly yelled at and talked to and shoved and cursed at. And trust me, I go to different schools and I see it, and I help work with teachers, help work with communities. When I was the area superintendent in Houston Independent School District, we had 300 schools, 210,000 students. And one of my departments also was the school psychs that I was the head of. We actually started having to give teachers counseling.
Yeah.
And some of, we're 300 schools. So some of our higher affluent schools, we didn't, but in our lower socioeconomical schools, they were experiencing same amount of trauma and those kind of things, just from the constant, abuse of students.
Well, speaking on that, I actually went to South Houston High School.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So,
oh, wow. Small world.
Yeah. So I grew up in Pasadena. So,
wow.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
You probably know about that then.
I do know about that. But, we had, it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. And some of our environments, our teachers are doing the best they can. Same thing with the national teacher shortage. In some areas, not a national teacher shortage. It's teachers who don't want to teach in the urban. They're certified, but they rather
Willing, yeah.
on the job in a suburban district than take the jobs in the urban districts. And they're running around trying to find warm bodies in the class.
Well, in the era of educational tech innovation, how can educators ensure that technology is used as a tool for enhancing learning rather than replacing traditional teaching methods, or should we just replace them?
No, well, traditional teaching methods, yes.
Yeah.
I would say the sit and get pour knowledge into empty vessels, that doesn't work. And again, it's not preparing our students. And that was the students in the rows. The only thing that was effective, one was so the janitor can clean, to pop that mop in between each chair. And the other one was because of the industrial, preparing kids for the industrial society. But see, so here's the real difference to me. If you had a student right now that was staying home because he had to take care of his siblings, people would probably hotline that parent. But back in the days when students had to stay home to work, we developed our agrarian calendar. So we developed the education system around that. So now we have a different aspect, a different society, and we really need to reinvent our education system and develop it around the ecosystem that these students live in. I mean, every field is accepting and integrating technology at a fast rate, but education.
Yeah. Oh, Lord, have mercy. What are some examples of successful ed tech innovations that have transformed the learning experience for students and teachers?
Yeah, I mean, one, I have to plug Playbook, and that's PLABOOK. Again, our reading technology. Because we're capturing voice, we actually do gamification in it as well. And some of the aspects of the games, they have to use their voice to advance their character, and we customize academic games towards the students' deficits. I think that's changing. Bottle learning. Bottle is a math game that's personalized. The same thing, teachers can add questions in there, and it goes into the students' games as they're playing. And so, I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot that also missed the mark as well. We have a lot of systems that are just developed by technology people and based off their experiences, and really didn't include teachers in that development aspect of it. And it's a good tool that they're selling, making a lot of money on it. And as we see, there's no receipts, right? Our students are not advancing like they should. At one point in time, when I was with Chan Zuckerberg, when they were doing summit schools, they had a real, and it was back in the days, 2013, 14, they had a real nice personalized platform that I think just people were not ready for until after the pandemic hit, but it was already kind of put on the back burner in a sense. And so there are tools out there that that look at personalized learning, meaning not learner agency, meaning anytime, anywhere, but actually personalizing the content, the subject matter of that content that meets that student's interest, that their level, and all those kind of things, and then also scaffolds up.
Yeah, I'm an advocate of a platform that's being built right now, and I think they're at a spot to kind of roll it out. And basically what it is something that could really, I feel like it could help like all children. It could help everybody. So let's say, on your creative side of your mind, you like reading. So you imagine you like, how would you like to type in a sentence of your book and have it auto-populate a metaverse exactly with what you're talking about? We have these programs that create an image, but what if it created a whole metaverse? Wow. And all the students had access to basically create their own books and their own everything inside this, kind of like creating a movie in a sense by typing their story.
Man, that would be awesome. That's
awesome. Yeah. Well, then you need to meet my friends at Opus AI.
Oh yeah. Well, look,
Adnan Yunus is the CEO. I interviewed him on this show as well. And
wow.
so they're rolling this platform out, and they're gearing it towards education. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more on that. We'll probably have him back on to do a demonstration.
That would be kind of neat, and that's a new environment that easily can be implemented within the classroom. Is the metaverse or kind of a mixed reality or XR, VR, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, imagine bringing things to life
Yeah.
as opposed to, looking at, let's just keep it simple, looking at a textbook of how to build a car when you can immerse yourself in doing it even way before you go to the assembly line or you go to, or whatever that is. Yeah, I mean, that's where it's going to be, man.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to be. That's where people make those real life connections. That's what we're missing with this generation.
Yeah.
We're still a print, one-dimensional environment, and when they're outside of school, they're plugged into, they're immersed, and they're immersed all the time. These kids walk around with headphones. These kids, listen. I go to a restaurant and I see infants manipulating iPads, and so this is a true digital native. This is the first time we really have true digital natives. And not, kids who grew up on print and paper and then had some, technology interaction. But these kids grow up, they're born with the iPad in their hand. And so we have to be able to meet their needs. And that's something that we're not doing. But an easy adoption will be, the tools like you described, or any tools that deal with, AR or VR or XR or those kind of things.
Yeah, I also just recently, this past week, became a board member with Pure Esperanza. And so we are going to be building a metaverse inside of Unity. It's kind of like Unreal Engine.
Right.
And so it'll be a place for educators and, holistic thinkers and basically a home for knowledge and for future generations to come see what we've done in the beginning of this metaverse world,
Yeah. No, I would love to see some of the things that you're talking about, because it sounds so exciting.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we got to touch base, and networking is a big part of what I do. So I'd be glad to network with you more on this stuff. I think it sounds like it's right up your alley.
Oh yeah.
How can teachers and schools adapt to the evolving landscape and stay current and provide the best learning experiences?
Yeah, it's the same thing that they expect of their students. As to me, it's all about training, and you have to take the approach like the Navy SEALs, where you're just constantly training to better yourself and to be prepared. It's something that we have to integrate within our school systems. I love,
and that'd be from the top down then.
Top down.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you have to grow, and you have to grow others, and you have to invest in the capacity. You have to invest in people. You have to build the capacity of your staff. And so if that's not something that you do, it even annoys me when people buy all this technology and tools and they don't have an effective implementation plan and a professional development plan. And they just expect people to use it. They're gonna shut their doors and do their natural method because that's what's comfortable to them, because they didn't learn anything else. So, I go to school districts all the time, and you go look in their closets and their inventory, and it's just stacks of things that people have bought and never used, still in wrapping.
Wow. Oh Lord. So how can parents, teachers, and the education system as a whole collaborate to create an environment that encourages this growth mindset in students?
Yeah, I talked about that earlier. Like, it needs to be a collaboration between schools, parents, the community, the business industry. All those kind of things is necessary in order to revamp our school system.
Yeah,
we no longer can operate in isolation. We have to stop that.
Yeah.
And the problem is schools are the only organizations that are allowed to function at a failure rate. And that's because they're trying to do everything. And we know a master of all is a master of none.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, and again, schools are operating as dinosaurs where they're slow to change. And yet we have the best product. We produce the best product ever.
Yeah.
And that is a educated, stimulated mind citizen, productive citizen.
Wow.
And yet, everything is neglected and everything is overlooked in that sense of the level of accountability.
Wow. Do you have a book, event, product, service for the audience to promote?
Yeah.
And what's the best way for them to get in contact?
Yeah, I wrote 3 books. One is called Execution by Firing Squad, Effective Leadership When You're the Target. And that was my experience in Mississippi. It's a great leadership book. One is Emotives, The Truth Behind Student Behavior. And so Emotives is just like you talked about. It's a book about how to invest in the social emotional development of children. What are they going through, and then what are solutions? And then another book that I did is called Stop Dribbling Footballs. And Stop Dribbling Footballs is just kind of it's actually the guy that did the Rugrats and the Simpsons. He illustrated this book, and there's a video that goes with it, a cartoon that goes with it as well. But basically, it's a play on the fact that school is a game and it's just a different set of rules, and you have to learn how to code switch. And then also, as a school system, you have to direct teach behavior. So it starts out with a boy that gets good at the game of basketball. He goes to a different game and he gets on the school bus and he's dressed in a basketball uniform and everybody's in a football uniform. And so the only thing he knows, long story short, he's chosen as a quarterback. When it's hiked, he starts dribbling, and everybody just yells, "Stop dribbling football!" Like, what's wrong with him? And parents are like, he needs to be tested, and is he contagious, and will his behavior run off, and all those kind of things. And so it's kind of a good play in a fun book. The other is the product is Playbook, so PLABOOK, playbookeducation.com is the website, and that's the innovative reading technology. It uses artificial intelligence, natural language processing, and speech recognition of children how to read. Yeah. So the contact is the LinkedIn is Dr. Phil. It's a good way to also reach me.
Well, it has been such a pleasure to have you and spend this time with you. And I look forward to networking with you in the future. If there's some plug or play that I can help with, I'd be glad to. And don't ever hesitate to reach out. Thanks for coming today.
Hey, I appreciate it, and thank you.
Finish this up here.
After 40 people production.